Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down the flood of newly unsealed documents in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And let me tell you, this is a release so big, it's already sending shockwaves through the highest levels of power. So, a massive, once secret archive from the U.S. Justice Department is now out in the open, and it's raising some pretty major questions. So, let's dive in and see what's actually in these files and what we've learned so far. All right, first things first, you have to understand the sheer scale of this release. We're not talking about a small leak here. This is a tidal wave of information that has just been made public. I mean, we are talking about thousands of pages of court documents, photos, and records. And these files come from two different major criminal investigations into Jeffrey Epstein, the first one in Florida, and then the later one in New York. And get this huge trove of information was just published directly on the Justice Department's own website. It's a really major and very public development in a story that's been unfolding for years. Okay, now let's get to the part that's grabbing all the headlines, the high-profile names and connections being revealed. These files are really starting to paint a picture of Epstein's network of powerful associates. You know, to really get why this document dump is so significant, it helps to take a quick look back. This story has been building for a long time, from his first conviction way back in 2008 to the new charges and his death in 2019, and then the conviction of his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell. Every one of these events is a piece of the puzzle that led us here. So one of the first things that really jumped out at people, these several undated photos showing former President Bill Clinton. In a few of them, he appears to be in a hot tub or a swimming pool, though we don't know exactly where they were taken. But here's the thing, and this is absolutely crucial, the context that was provided with these photos. The documents themselves point out that survivors of Epstein's abuse have never publicly accused Clinton of any wrongdoing. Then you've got this other image that's surfaced showing Ghislaine Maxwell, who, as you know, is now serving a 20-year prison sentence for her role in all this, and she's photographed right outside 10 Downing Street in London. But just like with the Clinton photos, the context, the when and the why is totally missing. And it's not just them. The files are also putting a fresh spotlight on other huge names who were in Epstein's orbit over the years, including Prince Andrew and Donald Trump. And now their past statements about their relationships with Epstein are being looked at all over again. This really gets to a key point that a lot of journalists are making right now. Epstein went out of his way to cultivate connections with powerful people. His contact list was a who's who of finance, celebrities, and royalty. So seeing a name or photo in these files isn't by itself proof of any wrongdoing. So with all these powerful names flying around, it brings up the big question. Why now? Why were all of these documents released at this exact moment? Well, the answer seems to be all about a political battle. See, this wasn't some voluntary thing where the Justice Department just decided to open the books. No. This was the result of a long political fight in Washington. It started with demands from Congress, which the administration pushed back on at first. But eventually, the pressure from both parties, with lawmakers teaming up with victims' advocates, forced the issue. It actually led to a law that set a hard deadline for this release. And you guessed it, this is already turning into a political firestorm. The release was a little delayed, and not everything came out by the deadline. That's led Democrats to accuse the administration of a cover-up. Meanwhile, the White House is saying, hey, our hand was forced, and is promising that hundreds of thousands more pages are still on the way. So, where do we go from here? Look, the biggest thing to understand is that this story is nowhere near over. In a lot of ways, what we've seen so far is just the beginning of a much longer process. I mean, just think about the mountain of work ahead for investigators and journalists. It's probably going to take weeks, if not months, to go through everything that's already out, all while we're expecting even more files to be made public. So yeah, the big takeaway here is this. This story is going to keep unfolding day by day as more information gets processed and released. And really, the search for answers and for justice for the victims and survivors, that's the engine driving this whole thing forward. And that leaves all of us with this one giant, lingering question that's going to hang over this story for months. With thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of pages still sealed, the biggest secrets of the Epstein archive might not have even been revealed yet.